Japanese ramen is extremely popular among tourists. However, in reality, many ramen shops struggle to stay in business. According to statistics, about 30% of newly opened ramen shops close within the first year, and 60% shut down within 5 years. In other words, only 40% of ramen shops survive after 5 years. Making ramen is relatively simple, requiring only noodles and broth. With a low barrier of entry, it is easy for many people to open their own ramen shops. However, this also leads to intense competition. In contrast, businesses like sushi restaurants or French cuisine require advanced culinary skills, creating a higher barrier to entry. As a result, competition is less fierce and the failure rate tends to be lower. In recent years, the business environment for ramen shops has worsened, reaching its worst state since the pandemic hit year of 2020. A ramen shop's success largely depends on the quality of its broth. So many establishments invest heavily in perfecting their soup to differentiate themselves from competitors. A hugely popular ramen shop in Ikebukuro, featured in the Michelin Guide, uses 4 different types of shellfish just for the broth. Clams from Chiba, shijimi clams from Ibaraki, scallops from Hokkaido, and asari clam from Hokkaido. On top of that, they add 2 types of premium chicken, black pork, kombu, kelp, and more. Since ramen broth is made with such a wide variety of ingredients, rising ingredient costs are a major concern. On top of that, to fully extract the flavors, the broth needs to be simmered for long hours. Some shops even take more than 20 hours. This makes rising utility costs another big challenge for ramen shop owners. Simply raising prices isn't an easy solution. The ramen industry faces what is known as the 1,000 yen barrier, a psychological price threshold. When the price of a bowl of ramen exceeds 1,000 yen, consumer perception changes significantly. Many people see ramen as an affordable casual meal, so ramen shops tend to keep their prices below this threshold to avoid driving customers away. Although not a ramen shop, Koko Ichibanya, a curry rice chain with over 1,000 locations in Japan and more than 200 overseas, provides a relevant example. In August 2024, the company raised the prices of its curry dishes and, as a result, reported a decline in customer numbers for 5 consecutive months. However, even after the price increase, many items on their menu are still priced under 1,000 yen, highlighting the strong influence of this psychological pricing barrier. In response, many ramen shops try to keep the base price of ramen low while encouraging customers to order additional toppings like eggs or green onions to increase the average spending per customer. However, this strategy has had limited success. In recent years, large chains and well-funded companies have expanded overseas and scaled their operations, allowing them to take advantage of bulk purchasing and cost reductions. However, the majority of ramen shops in Japan are small, independently owned businesses that cannot benefit from these economies of scale. As a result, their operating environment remains increasingly challenging. Japan's restaurant industry as a whole faces a labor shortage, but hiring staff is particularly difficult for ramen shops. One major reason is the low profit margins, which make it challenging to offer competitive wages. Additionally, ramen shops have a unique operational challenge. Preparing the broth requires long hours of labor, often from late night until early morning. In small, independently owned shops, the burden falls heavily on the owner, who must not only manage daily operations but also handle broth preparation during off hours. As a result, even successful ramen shops sometimes close down because the owner's health deteriorates under the intense workload. In Japan, many consulting firms specialize in helping entrepreneurs open ramen shops, often promoting the idea that running a ramen shop is profitable. However, the reality is far more challenging than these advertisements suggest.